Hey everyone, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in another video, and I'm here to talk about this TikTok that went viral recently on TikTok, but it also spread to other platforms. People were talking about it on Twitter. People were talking about it on Instagram. And so I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on the whole situation. So for those of y'all who did not see, there was a TikTok that went around of this guy who spoke about him having 7 baby mamas. Yes, 7. He's catching up to Nick Cannon as we speak. And so, and I'm not going to play the whole clip because it literally is like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I don't think you guys want to sit through that whole thing. But I will try to link it in the description if you guys want to watch it real quick and then, come back to this video. But essentially, he talked about how he has 7 baby mamas, but he doesn't take care of any of the kids. He willingly said this on his own account. Like, no one outed him. No one exposed him. He took time out his day to say, you know what, I'm going to get on TikTok. And not only am I going to tell the whole world that I have 7 baby mamas, but I'm also going to tell them that I don't take care of my kids. And I'm going to somehow try to rationalize it. His rationale was that he told all of these women that he did not want these children. And that he offered to pay for them to get rid of the child, and they declined. There's several aspects to this, right? But I am very happy to see that most people aren't trash and that most people agreed on both sides, women and men. I feel like most of us can agree that this guy is just absolute garbage. But you do have the small subset of people that, because he's more so on the extreme side of things, but there are a lot of men out there that feel as though that if they sleep with a woman and she gets pregnant and they express not wanting to have the kid, they express not wanting to be in the kid's life, and that if the mother decides to keep the child, there's men out there that feel like it's not their responsibility because they let them know in advance that they weren't going to be in the child's life. Unpopular opinion maybe, even though I don't think my opinion is unpopular. I still say the child is your responsibility. Like, it's still your child. Now, yes, and again, there's several different reasons for why a woman might decide to keep a child, even if the father doesn't seem as though they would be present. And yes, you would think that if the option is presented, right, and if the mother knows that the father of the child isn't really looking to be involved, that the mother would take that into account and how that could affect the child, and maybe making that decision to say, look, maybe having a kid isn't the best decision. But you do have women that still go through with it. You still have women that are like, no, I'm going to keep it, whether it's because they just really want to be a mother and they're just like, I don't, or they maybe don't believe in ending a pregnancy on their own accord, and so they just don't feel right doing that. And although you could maybe make the argument that, okay, like, if the father lets you know that he's not going to be around, you just should not have any expectation for the father to be around. At the end of the day, it takes 2 to tango, and I still feel as though that it's still both of their responsibilities. And it's like, yes, like, even if he did say, hey, I'm not really interested in that, you should have thought about that beforehand. And it's so annoying because it's like, men don't understand how pregnancy and ending a pregnancy and even childbirth, like all of that stuff that goes into like creating children, how much that takes a toll on a woman's body. And I feel like a lot of men, they don't take that into account at all. Like, it's like they know, but it's like they don't really take that into account before, making these decisions. And to say that he doesn't have any responsibility in this, I think is just like, no. Like, first of all, he should not be releasing his seed into multiple women. Let's start there. If you don't want children, then you shouldn't be doing things that are going to cause you to have children. And then you turn around and expect the woman to just, you know what I'm saying? Because people act like, I'm not gonna say the word, but the ending of a pregnancy, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you go through that's not an easy thing to put your body through. And I feel like people just act like, it's just like the easiest thing in the world. Like, no, like the even like the especially depending on how far along you are. Because maybe if you're like super duper early, then it may not be that bad. But if you're like a couple of weeks in, like that process is not a, I don't want to say like it can be both physically and emotionally draining. I'll say that. And I've never been through that before, but just from some of the stories that I've heard, I've seen women talk about it. Yeah, and so I just felt like a lot of men, they don't take that into account when it comes to stuff like that. They think just like, oh, because he even said too, like, oh, like I'll buy Plan Bs. But even with Plan Bs, it's like Plan Bs mess up your body. You're taking like a bunch of hormones at once. It really messes you up, especially if you're on like birth control pills. Like it messes up that. It can mess up your cycle. It can mess up a lot of things in your body. And so this idea of women just having to pop Plan Bs, like that's not safe. That's not healthy. It's there's a reason why it's called emergency contraception. It's not supposed to be something that you just do on a casual basis. And so I just think that for him to just be as irresponsible as he has been, because you're not about to sit up here and tell me that like some of this wasn't intentional. Like I can understand like a slip up, right? Like mistakes happen, and that is where I might agree with the argument that if a man says, hey, look, I'm not ready for children right now, and it came from like a genuine mistake, then okay, like yes, I don't think the woman should keep the baby out of spite. But this man has gotten several women pregnant, more than 7, mind you, because he said in the video that the 7 that currently have a child with him are the ones that decided to keep it. So he's gotten more than 7 women pregnant. And at that point, he clearly is not taking any precautions when it comes to getting these women pregnant. He's knowingly getting these women pregnant and expecting them to just deal with it on their end. Like, yeah, he's offering money. Like he's offering again for them to either end it or whatever. But it's just like, why are you even putting yourself and them in this predicament in the first place? If you know you don't want children, there are several things you can do to prevent that. You can wear protection, which he is not doing, and he's willingly doing that. I think at one point he even said in the video, oh, like these women don't even tell me to put on a condom. You're a grown man. You're a grown man. No one should have to tell you to do anything. Like regardless of if they're, and that's another thing too, that should even speak to, there's so many layers to this, bro. Like, because then it also speaks to the type of women that he's sleeping with. If he's sleeping with women that don't care about their bodies like that aren't concerned with, protecting themselves and, y'all being protected, then that's kind of on you for getting these women pregnant. It's like, I'm not surprised that they decided to keep, because like clearly you're not even picking, I don't want to say pick the right women, but I mean, yeah, like you, like again, it's on both sides. Like people have to be cautious about who they sleep with, and I know that it's been normalized nowadays for people to just partake in intercourse with people casually. And listen, I'm not shaming anybody. Like, do what you want to do, but you also have to understand that there are going to be consequences to your actions. And so it's like, if you don't want to put yourself in that situation, then take the necessary precautions. He is someone that I would 100% say, you need a vasectomy. You need a vasectomy. Yes, I know that, I've been told it's not 100% reversible. But if he is this determined to not protect himself, but then also doesn't want children, then he needs to just get a vasectomy, because it's just like what you're doing is just so reckless. And yes, him saying that these women need to be cautious about who they're sleeping with. I mean, yes, like that statement in itself is true, and and I do agree with that. Like if you, because I think he even said too in that video, like he's done like the bare minimum for these women to be interested in him and to even want to sleep with him. And so yeah, there is a certain level of accountability on the woman, because it's like you're not setting your standards high enough to where you're even allowing, like, let me tell you something. Someone like him could never, okay? I have certain standards for myself, and I think that all women should have standards for themselves, and unfortunately a lot of women don't. But also men too. Like, men also need to look out for who they're choosing to sleep with. And this is the crazy thing too. It's like, we are all adults. And I know that we all didn't have the same level of health education growing up. But at a certain point, at a certain age, you should know what you're getting yourself into and what the risks are and what the consequences are when you're sleeping with somebody. It's wild to me that people still don't understand that when you sleep with somebody, there's always a risk of catching something and getting pregnant. Literally, so many things. I cannot tell y'all. I be scared reading some of the things that I read about how people got pregnant. Like, it's insane. Like, birth control, it fails sometimes. You know, I've even seen women say that like their ovulation was at like 2% and they got pregnant. I've seen, you know, again, like condoms break. They don't break that often from what I understand, but you know, that's something that could happen. A condom could break. Like, there are instances where people do take precautions and things happen. And so you always have to take that into account when you are sleeping with somebody. Even if you try to take all the precautions in the world, you could still be in that less than 1% that it happens to. And so people just need to be mindful of that. In my opinion, people need to be mindful of that when they're doing that. And so it's like, again, I'm not shaming anyone if you are having casual hookups, but just for me, I just would not want to share my body with someone unless I could trust them with the consequences. But that's just me. And I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not saying you have to live by that. But you know, it's just so wild to me that people still don't understand that concept. Like, yes, it's always a risk. Like, even with pulling out is not. When I tell y'all, when I kept hearing people say that, like, oh, pulling out is a form of birth control. No, it's not. Are y'all stupid? Are y'all dumb? Yeah, I don't know. But clearly he is just very, very reckless. Like, he's not even trying. Like, these were not mistakes. These were instances of him being very irresponsible and expecting the woman to just take that on. And for him to be that irresponsible and willingly saying that he's not going to take care of any of these children is just sad. The fact that he embarrassed himself like this in public, absolutely crazy. And him, again, putting the blame on the woman as if he didn't have responsibility. Because at the end of the day, like, once you decide to do that, once you decide to release into somebody, you need to understand that, like, at that point, like, you can say whatever you want. You have pretty much lost your choice and your decision at that point. Like, at that point, whatever the woman decides to do with her body is her right, because it's her body. You have to understand that before you even proceed to do that. And that's why you should be careful about who you sleep with. And that's why you should be careful in general when you're sleeping with people. If you know you don't want kids, then prevent the kids from happening. It's 2 + 2 = 4. Like, I don't understand, but that is a hard concept for people to understand. So yeah, all in all, just, you know, again, for y'all who are out there, just be mindful. Be mindful of who you sleep with. If you are going to do a random encounter, protect yourself. Do not rely on the other person to be on the same page as you, especially if it's, again, someone random that you don't have that much of a relationship or connection with. Just protect you, make the best decisions for you, and understand what you're getting yourself into when you're acting the way that, not to say that everyone is acting how he's acting, but if you're not going to be more mindful about who you're going to be sleeping with, you need to at least make sure that you are making the best decisions for you to make sure that you don't even end up in that situation. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.